Hello everyone, hello, Sasserate here with some more Final Fantasy XIV. We got ourselves the level, what level one is this? 68 quest. Yeah, I agree. I searched through the usual histories and found scant mention of Sari. Just as Prince said, records of his existence have all been expunged. And since my own knowledge is limited to the day I was stored away, we must rely on those Allegan records that escaped the Purge. My colleague, Rambros, may be able to help us there. Hardly a day goes by that when his team does not lift some forgotten treasure from the ruins in Mordona. Shall we pay him a visit? Yeah, sure, let's go talk to Rambros. What? Oh, that's what St. Quentin is fine. We can't warp that. We gotta do this. But yeah, for a lot of stuff, they went back and, like, I can't say if they added any dialogue or whatnot, but they at least changed things up. Griffin time! This is Peter. Down we go. There's another carbuncle down there. Hey, Rambus. Dimitri has informed me of your search. I shall be certain to contact you should our discoveries include any mention of this Psy. There may, however, be a swift way to acquire the information you seek. I know a certain merchant who collects undeciphered tombstones with even greater zeal than the Sons of St. Coinage. Ah, you speak of Rowena. Aye, we have formed something of a symbiotic relationship with her consortium. In return for financing your excavations, we provide Rowena with a selection of our finds. I'm sure you would find her amenable to a request for assistance. After all, you would merely need to borrow her tombstones for a time, yes? Here, I penned a letter with my personal assurances that her stock will be returned none the worse for wear. Jeremy, would you sleep with Rowena? It'll cost you. Rowena is the crudest or shrewdest of business women. What can I do for you? A polite request to borrow tombstones, penned by the meticulous hands of Rambros and addressed to Rowena. So you've the backing of old Rambros, eh? Well, I suppose it wouldn't hurt to lend you some of my tombstones. In fact, I'll do you one better and let you borrow the transcripts. Courtesy of the scribes at the Ironworks. As books, they're a damn sight heavier, but you don't need fancy machines when it's all penned down in ink and parchment. Give me a summary of the contents when you're finished, and I'll consider that as payment. Collectors will part with more coin if they know what they're getting, and my time's too precious to waste on reading ancient history. Consider it a deal, Rowena, and thank you. Well, Meryl, shall we get to work? Alright, so now we have to go read books. Fancy that! I've barely begun skimming the very first volume, and there are already some promising passages. Let us wake Prin and share our findings, shall we? Ah, Rambros. Have you come to check on our progress? This charming Potome is Principia, a sentient familiar of ancient Alleg. A pleasure to meet you, Master Rambros. Pray call me Prin, if you prefer. Thank you, Prin. Might I say what a privilege it is to meet such a rare and clever construct? Clever? Well, yes, apparently Prin was written that way. In fact, we were just hoping to hear an opinion on a new snippet of information I've uncovered. It was an order listed in a record of Imperial military communications commanding that the fruits of the Master Summoner's research be seized. It appears that this army had more than a passing interest in Sari's experiments. And what exactly was the purpose of his research? Master Sari toiled to wed summoning magic with etherical-chemical technology. For example, he experimented with replacing grimoires with mechanical mediums, and sought to manifest Edgy of greater authenticity by utilizing high-speed computations. Simply put, he turned to machines to enhance traditional summoning methods. Is that the gist of it? Correct, but Master Sari was never one to abuse the success of his experiments. No matter how they magnified his power, he would not place his trust in machines. Their inherently complex nature was too prone to error, he said. The dates of these communications indicate a time in the latter half of the Sari's life. Is it possible something could have occurred between crafting you and the execution of this order that may have greatly altered the summoner's outlook? There was, of course, the violent wave of anti-summoner sentiment that swept through Alleg. It claimed the lives of many of Master Sari's disciples. Following their deaths, he began spending much of his time cloistered within his laboratory. Such an incident would certainly be responsible for changing a man. And Principia, you are unaware of the subsequent events that once you fell into slumber, yes? From what we've learned so far, it's safe to say that the foe we encountered is related to Sari's research in some way. And there are likely more clues buried in these records. I should speak with Captain Wolf and ask to borrow the sharp minds of his summoner squad. It's a rather intimidating pile to tackle on our own. Well, seeing as you have the transcripts, there is no need to travel far. You're welcome to make use of my tent and the reference materials on Alleg that found within. That would be an enormous help. Thank you. Let's haul these books to the dig site, shall we? Yeah, we get to go all the way back over there again. Alright. Alright, Bob Dole, let's go. Through this crystal archway. Alright, I'm gonna fart. Where's Yamitra? Here somewhere. There she is. Oh look, they're already here. That was fast. And some people dislike this manner of task, but I never tire of dredging through papers that transport one to the past. I've been ignoring aught, but ain't nothing to do with the military. 'Tis more efficient to have a narrow focus, I reckon. These elegant records are like to make my skull burst. Opening portals to other worlds, forging new moons. It's not even fiction. My summoner colleagues arrived with a swiftness that after I relayed to them a request, 'tis well to see them recovered from their injuries. Well, with everyone pitching in, we stand a good chance of finding something useful. Ah, here's the bugger I was looking for. There's a record of when the military finally caught up with Sari. It says here the summoner was found dead. Killed by someone else, it seems. Then we have proved the original Sari's demise in the Third Astral Era. Now there remains the question of who or what attacked us in this age. My coin is on one of those clone creations. Is there aught more to the story, Lieutenant? Aye, it goes on to describe how the Imperial Army took over Sari's research, lauding his experiments as exceptionally dangerous but ripe with potential applications. They shifted operations to an artificial island soon after and began practical testing. One cataclysmic accident later, though, and that was the end of that. This artificial island must be a reference to Seal Rock, the very site of our first encounter with the present-day Sari. During the battle, my creator's simulacrum exhibited the ability to summon multiple Edgy simultaneously, as well as manifest highly authentic facsimiles of flesh and blood entities. The basis for every one of these unorthodox techniques can be traced back to Master Sari's research into machine-enhanced summoning. I'd say we have enough evidence to support a working theory, then, namely that the Allegan military was using a clone of the deceased Sari to perform hazardous experiments, tests which explored the feasibility of aether-chemically bolstered summon matter. Then when we landed on Seal Rock, we must have somehow awoken the remnants of those experiments. Mayhap we have solved the mystery of who the attacker was, but now I would know the place to where he fled. What refuge exists for such a being? From what I can gather, the results of Sari's work were bundled off to some secret laboratory called the Etherochemical Research Facility. You know of this place, miss? Is it far? As is law, if that's where they're keeping Sari's research, then it's possible the clone may have headed there. Our squad will fly back to Seal Rock and make further investigations. The relics of the past may hold some hint we have yet to consider. An excellent idea, thank you. We shall return to Gridania for the time being. As is law. Gonna fight. Jeremy, what are your thoughts on Gridania? Also, Jeremy, if you were dating a woman who insisted on referring to herself as the fecal samurai, would you consider that continue that relationship? Better city than Ul'dah. And what do you think of Simpkin here? I received an update from Captain Wolf regarding their investigations on Seal Rock. It would seem that certain of the Allegan relics have shown signs of recent activation. The mechanisms were too heavily damaged to offer more in the way of useful information, however. I fear we must brave this Azizlaw facility and search for Sari ourselves. Is that what he was hoping for when I said I'll be waiting? It is possible. I did not think the detail important at the time, but the lock engaged by Master Sari Simulacrum was not of the strictest tier. Rather, the seal is one which fades upon the sealer's demise. Then he was goading us into finding and defeating him. Another challenge, or is it simply a trap? I'm not fond of rushing into the unknown. Gird yourself for the worst, Miro, and I will learn the present circumstances of the research facility. Alright, we have one quest left, Art of the Living. We get Enhanced Dreadware Trance, level 70. We can't do it yet as we are only level 68, but that's gonna be it, guys. Thank you very much for viewing, YouTube.